We're live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Hudson Zoning Board of Adjustment of May the 22nd, 2025. I declare this meeting in order at 1900 hours or 7 p.m. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, tonight we're going to proceed with the agenda as it appears. Any carryover cases will be heard at the next carryover meeting if we are here until 11 o'clock.
I'll see that.
So I'll open the hearings. We'll read the case into the record. I'll open the hearing. In the order of testimony, the applicant will present their application, why it should be approved, and then have testimony from people supporting it, and then we'll have testimony from people that are against it or neutrally. All discussions will be between the applicant and the board, and during our conversations and considerations, the board will ask any questions to the applicant that they need to ask for clarification. After hearing the facts from everybody, the chairperson will close the board public hearing, and the board will deliberate and vote either to approve, deny, or defer the request before moving on to the next case. So you will have a decision tonight. Tonight we have the Selectmen's Liaison, Selectman Dumont here. He can participate in the discussion, but he does not vote or deliberate with us on this case. There are handouts in the back of the room that consist of an agenda for tonight and a rehearing request. If you do not get your appeal in a positive, if we deny it, then you have a 30-day time period, to appeal back to the board. And there's instructions, and if you need more clarification, I'm sure Mr. Sullivan will be more than glad to instruct you. If you are going to speak on your application, you can come to the table in front and sit down. You can stand at the lectern. Please state your name and address for the record, and if your last name is anything more complicated than Smith or Brown, we ask you to spell it, so the recorder can have a proper name for record. And before we begin, turn off your cell phones or silence them. There's no smoking in the building. If you wish to smoke, you must go outside. And please refrain from talking amongst yourself as it distracts from the board members hearing the testimony. With that, I'll ask the clerk to call for attendance.
Norman Martin.
Present.
Gene Scotty.
Excused.
Cindy Lampier.
Present?
Justin Dion.
Excused.
Myself, Zachary Dylan Dumont.
Present.
Chris Sullivan.
Present.
And Louise Mead.
She is listening online.
Okay, you want me to read it?
You agree?
Okay. I'm going to call the first case into the record, case 245-012, deferred from 4/24/25. Bradford Baker Sr., 23 Fairway Drive, Hudson, requests an equitable waiver of dimensional requirements to allow a newly built detached 41.3-foot by 39.6-foot metal garage on a cast-in-place concrete foundation to remain, which encroaches into both the side and front setbacks, leaving 13 feet and 22.3 feet, respectively, where 15 feet and 30 feet are required. Map 245, Lot 12, zoned R1, HCO Article 7, dimensional requirements, 33427, table of dimensional requirements in New Hampshire RSA 674-33-A.1.I. Now, I have a letter in here. Yes.
Do we want to seat?
Yes, I will do that. I'm going to seat. Got to remember the name. Mr. McDonough in place of Mr. Dion, who is excused this evening. So we have 3 voting members. So I have a letter in hand from the attorney of this case asking for deferral until we have 5 board members. We don't know when we're gonna have 5 board members, so we can defer it to June, and then, worst-case scenario, we'll defer it again. So, if there's no questions, then is there a motion to defer?
I'll make a motion to accept it and vote yes to
Defer?
defer it to
Second.
June 26th.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. So the first case will be deferred till June 26th. Okay. I'll read for a sec.
I got
Oh,
it.
okay, go for it.
Okay, case 16119, Richard N. Peralt, 72 Wyndham Road, Hudson, New Hampshire, sublot 000, zone G1, would like a variance to allow a proposed addition to a single-family dwelling to remain in the rear of the lot. The structure was previously a garage, but the dwelling was constructed without building permits, thus changing the use on the lot to a three dwelling units, or a multifamily dwelling. Use where this is not permitted in the G1. There's a second variance to allow the proposed dwelling unit ADU greater than 750 in the basement of a principal structure to remain where a size of an ADU is greater than 750. The ADU is currently existing, constructed without building permits. There is some comment, in-house comments. The inspectional services said they need some building permits to make sure that the basement is finished, and also the that they're built to the adopted fire code. The associate planner says they're going to need to, if they're good with the ZBA, then they're going to need to get a approved site plan. That is it.
Okay, so before we continue, and I ask you to sit there and talk to us about your case, you are entitled to have 5 members of this board judge your case or hear the merits of your case. There are only 3. Keep in mind, I understand you understand that there's only 3.
Yes.
But you need all 3 votes to get what you're asking for.
I
So
understand.
you can, even if one of us votes no, it's no. Then you'd have to go through the rehearing process. So I'll give you the opportunity today, if you want to ask for a deferral, which I would be inclined to say you should defer, because I don't think it's fair to only have 3 members of the board. But that's up to you. I'm not telling you what to do. Selectman Dumont?
Mr. Chairman, can we please have the zoning administrator clarify that? I believe it's a majority of the board.
Majority of the board.
That
It's
would
a
have to vote
majority
in
of the board.
favor. So one person could still vote no, and if the majority, if the 2 other members voted
Yeah,
in the
it's a majority of
affirmative,
the board.
it
I
would
think
be,
that happened before
would
once.
be accepted.
Well, a majority of the board is 3 members.
Well, the current board would,
I don't know.
yeah, I would just ask that you guys take a look at
Yep.
the,
Okay,
I'm looking at it, let me just double check.
better safe than sorry.
Always good.
oh, it's always good. Yeah, that's not a bad thing to look at, but in the past, it's always been, you have to have a majority of the 5 members.
Yeah, if you have 4, you have to have 3 out of the 4.
Correct.
If you have 5, you have to have 3 out of the 5, so it's always 3 normally. I get where you're coming from, Chairman. I understand it.
But no, it's good to look at that. Let me see if I can find it in our...
I didn't hear anything about that in the conference that we watched last Saturday. This a couple Saturdays ago.
Am I Understanding, at least from, I don't have the book in front of me, but from my quick research, is it's the majority of the board members are present.
Other means of the chairman
do it,
or
right?
majority of the board in
I don't know.
accordance with
Yeah.
RSA 91A 211.
I can't see anybody.
Just seems like we're more than a bit.
Quorum eligible means 3. Five or fewer members are included in all, give an opinion or process of non-applicant. Should the applicant choose to present less than 5 members, that shall not solely continue the grounds of rehearing should the applicant fail.
Is
That
it
sounds
9?
like he's right.
It's all 3 members?
Yep.
Good.
Oh, we all learned something on that one.
So it's a majority of the board sitting. Okay, I get
2 out
it.
of 3.
Hearing that, would you wish to proceed?
Yes.
Yes,
I
yes.
just,
So please,
I'm gonna behind me.
who's ever presenting, please state your name and address for the record, and if it's more complicated than Smith or Brown, spell your last name.
Okay, my name's Richard Brault. Last name is Brault, Breault. Okay? I'm hard of hearing, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to you, and if I don't understand, just, you know. Okay, the situation is, I purchased this property approximately 5 to 6 years ago with the intention for me and my wife's retirement. Okay, I'm 70 years old. I come up here to get out of the city so I could have my family around me, my grandchildren will have places to run and play and all that, because I was living in the city. Unfortunately, I passed papers on this home. A month later, my wife's speech started to slur. Now, I have a disabled son that's blind, okay, and I'm raising a grandson, which is now 18, but at the time he was like 11, whatever. My wife, we went to the hospital over a period of a couple of months, found out she had ALS. Okay? So for the next year, I took care of her at home until, it's very hard for me to say, but she passed away. Okay? I was married for 48 years. Now, here I am, not knowing what I'm going to do. I'm alone with my son that's blind and my grandson that I'm raising on my own now. My son was living in another place. I said, you have to come. I need help. I can't do this all on my own. I don't know how much longer I have. I need family to come up there in case something happens to me, to take care of my son that's disabled. My oldest son, he's disabled. He had a brain tumor when he's 18, lost whatever. So it's up to my other son now to take control, okay? As far as the property that I'm living in right now, I've never never had it as a 2-family. It's always been a 1-family. In the basement, I end up sleeping down there. That's all I do down there. And it's a game room. There's a pool table down there. I can, it's an open concept. The kitchen's there. Yes, it was there when I bought the house. And the only thing we use the kitchen for is when we have barbecues. Because my house, if you see the situation, the front is all frontage and it's not private. The back is private, so if you want to have barbecue, it's nice to have a barbecue back there. But we never intended it to be a 2-family to rent out or anything like this, okay? It was always me and my wife were going to be down there, my grandson, my other son upstairs, we were just sleeping down there. Everything that, suppers and all that stuff was done upstairs. It was never, we're never going to rent it out or anything like that. It was just, but then my wife passed away. I lost that income. She made more than me. So now that was hard. I got a mortgage, you know, but we didn't do anything downstairs. I mean, this is the first I ever heard that there wasn't permits pulled downstairs, because we didn't do anything. The only thing I did downstairs was he had tile floor. I had somebody come in and lay laminate down, which I didn't think I needed a permit to just put flooring down, and paint. And, you know, of course, I had a new heating system put in at the time because it was a real old system, but, you know, as far as me having to pull permits, I didn't think I had to. So I'm dumb for that, okay? So that's why I think it should stay as an AD, whatever. I don't even know what that is. To me, it's an in-law apartment.
It's an accessory
You know.
dwelling unit.
Right, right.
Same thing, yeah.
But like I said, we never rented it out. We never intended to rent it out. You know, I have 3 sons. This was supposed to be my family retirement for me to die.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I have no problem with an inspector coming down and looking at it. I mean, all I've done was, I did put windows in, but that was from Window World. If they didn't pull a permit, I don't know. You know, I hire a company, Window World. I have their, you know, they put new windows in because the windows were old. Other than that, I don't know what else to say to that part of the structure, you know?
Okay.
Well, as far as the other unit now, you're gonna go over the criteria of the red burn livers.
Can I let my son talk a little
Sure.
bit, because I'm,
So, yeah, no, I understand 100%. I have to say that I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I would ask if you could, you gave a statement regarding to the questions and the facts. Could you read those? Just read the question and the answer. You don't have, if you don't need to go into detail, you don't have to.
So I have 2 of them, so I'm just trying to figure out which
We're
one.
doing,
For the ADU or the garage
Let's-
that was,
Do the garage, do A first.
ADU.
Leave that, yeah. The garage is A.
A?
Yeah.
I'm trying to, I don't have like an A or anything on mine.
Well, whatever says garage. Talk about the garage.
that this one?
No, yeah, but I got it right now.
Okay.
no, it's 6, 7, something.
Yeah, this is,
Okay.
okay. This one's the house.
I think this one's it, right? So it says, number 1, granting of the requested variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the proposed use of the building as living space does not conflict with the character of the neighborhood. The structure has already been transformed into a dwelling and is not being used for any commercial or high-traffic purpose. It will remain a residential use consistent with surrounding properties and poses no threat to the public health, safety, or welfare. Number 2, the proposed use will observe the spirit of the ordinance because the transformation of the garage into a residence retains the intended residential use of the property in a low-density zone. The new living space does not increase density beyond what is typical or permitted in the area, and the unit is consistent in design and use with other properties in the neighborhood. Number 3 is substantial justice would be done of the property owner by granting the variance because without the variance, the owner would suffer financial and personal hardship from having created a safe and livable dwelling space that now cannot be legally occupied. The variance would allow the property owner to use the space as intended without negatively affecting the community of neighbors. Number 4, the proposed use will not diminish the value of surrounding properties because the structure has been converted to a neat, modern residential unit which improves the overall appearance and usability of the property. There are no commercial or disruptive elements nearby. Properties will not be affected in value and the neighborhood's character is preserved. number 5 is, because of the special condition of the property in question, the restriction applied to the property by the ordinance does not serve the purpose of the restriction in a fair and reasonable way, and the property had an existing garage structure that was converted into a living space. It is a unique lot in terms of layout and topography, and the use as a second dwelling unit is appropriate to the space without overcrowding. Restriction creates a hardship by not allowing use of an already existing and improved structure. Now, 6, explain how the special additions of the property caused the proposed use to be reasonable. The property is large enough to support multiple units without causing overcrowding or strain on utilities. The garage to living space conversion makes practical use of the space while maintaining the residential nature of the area. It does not alter the look or density of the neighborhood.
Do you have anything further to add?
Well, I mean, basically, we're making it look better, number one. Most of the utilities were there. The only thing we did was put an electrical service in because there was oil heat, and we didn't want oil heat, so we wanted to just go all electric. But that's the only thing that we had to add. Besides, and we pulled a permit for that. Everything else was basically there. Yeah, I changed the cabinets, did some work, but as far as the shape of the building, nothing. We didn't go up, we didn't go down, we didn't. It was just the same structure that was already there. The gentleman before us, he was a builder, and believe it or not, it has all like steel beams in there, so it's pretty structurally sound.
Okay. Sir, go ahead.
And that's the other thing that's really puzzling me is that him as a builder, why he didn't pull permits. I mean, I'm dumb to this, okay?
Yeah,
But they're telling me that the structure that I purchased, I'm not talking about the garage right now, I'm talking about my structure. If he was a builder, why?
Wow.
The same, because you
You know,
finished the basement.
It's happened a lot in the past, and
Right,
we're trying to
right.
correct it.
I understand.
And then what doesn't help is the document that you handed to us, the purchase and sales agreement, it doesn't help that they didn't market it as such. So
Right. Which, when I purchased the property, I didn't care if it was single family, multifamily. To me, it wasn't even an issue. You know what I'm saying? It was, when I looked at the property, I said, oh, beautiful. We have enough room for when the grandchildren come over, they can play, they can run around, they could sleep here, they could, that was our intentions.
Yeah, no, I understand.
So-
Okay, if there's nothing further, is there any member of the board that has questions, concerns, or comments? Mr. Lampier?
So you bought this in what year, about like 2019?
19.
Okay.
August.
Because I did look up the listing, and it does come up, it shows bedroom 0, bathroom 0. It doesn't give you nothing. This gives us more information, according to what Zillow says. I'm just telling you the last transaction.
Sure.
They didn't advertise it like it was. They just said finished basement for
Right.
family.
Thank
That's
you.
the way they did it
Yeah.
that way on Zillow, just so it's on the record as well. So, but here they get more into the bedrooms and the bathrooms and all that,
Right.
so. That was my question, to find out
Yeah,
what
no
year. I wanted to
problem.
make sure that was you in that year, so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Anything else? Mr. Selectman Dumont?
The only thing I'll add is that, and Mr. Sullivan's aware of it, the legislature around ADUs has changed.
Yes, it hasn't till July, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be going into effect 60 days from passage. Detached is allowed by right, so just to
So
keep-
the legislature is recognizing this,
That's it,
and
yeah.
so if we were in August or September,
Most of this
This
would not
wouldn't
be
be
a
here.
problem.
okay, thank you for that information, that helps.
That's
That
good to
really
know.
helps. Do you have any comments, questions?
No, I do not.
Mr. McDonough, any comments, questions?
No comments or questions?
I don't have any comments or questions. Do I have a motion?
Well, do we have to, you gotta ask if anybody.
Oh, yeah, we'll go through we'll go for the formalities. Is there anybody in the audience that wish to speak in favor of this application? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience who wish to speak in opposition or neutrally? Okay, seeing none, I'll declare the matter before the board. Board members, comments, questions, motions? Mr. Lanfair?
I make a motion to, I'm drawing a blank, to go with the variance of
Grant?
A, to grant the variance.
Okay, I have a motion to grant. Do I have a second?
I will second the motion to grant.
Second by Mr. McDonough. Mr. Lanfair?
Comment on my motion. Number one, granting the requested variance will not contrary to the public interest since the proposed use is not in conflict or explicit with implicit purpose. It's an older remodel that's been done for years before. I believe that it will help the owner, and it will not threaten the public, health, safety, or the welfare of the public rights. Number two, the proposed use will observe the spirit of the ordinance. Again, it was built probably many years ago, and he's going to have to go through his due diligence to get the permits and stuff that he's going to need. Number three, substantial justice will be done for the property owner. Due to the way the listing was listed in 2019 and with the other exhibits that were brought to our attention, I believe it will help the owner for the tragic things that have happened in his life to your wife. And again, I'm sorry about your wife as well.
Thank you.
And it will not harm the public as well. Number four, the proposed use will not diminish the surrounding values of the properties. I believe it will not. Number five, I believe there is a hardship due to how this property was purchased, and I don't think it'll make any changes to the neighborhood as well.
Thank you, Mr. Lanfair. Mr. McDonough?
Speaking to the criteria for number one, these changes don't harm anyone, nor does it change the neighborhood or otherwise injure public rights. The proposed use is a reasonable one and is in the spirit of the ordinance. There's no risk to public health, and if anything, it helps generally improve family living conditions on the premise. Number three, the owner would see substantial justice in granting of this variance. They bought the property assuming that it had gone through all due diligence and through reasonable permitting to get these changes made and had no reason to suspect otherwise. And the general public is not harmed by these changes. 2.4. The proposed use will not diminish property values. This property has existed this way for an unknown amount of time, and the neighborhood has not seen any diminishing values. And if anything, the property had sold with these changes in place, and as such, the value stands. To number 5, the owner, in this case, faces the unnecessary hardship in having to go through this exercise that should have been done by a prior owner of the property. And the general public does not face any hardship by seeing this change, this variance granted. And the proposed use is a reasonable one. And as Mr. Dumont noted, the legislature is changing to better reflect this. And for that, I vote to grant.
Thank you. And I vote to grant, and it will not be contrary to the public interest. It will not threaten the public health, safety, or welfare, or injure public rights. It will observe the spirit of the ordinance. It already does. It's existing. Substantial justice will be done to the property owner. He can finally put this to rest and enjoy his retirement. It hasn't, or I haven't seen anything to say that surrounding property values have diminished. The hardship exists because the ADU was put in by a previous owner, and this gentleman, new property owner, was not informed, and the proposed use is a reasonable one. I vote to grant. The decision being 3-0, variance A is granted, and there is a 30-day waiting period. I know you're not building or anything, but there's a 30-day appeal period. People can appeal. Okay. And you ready for B?
Yep, ready for B? Oh, they're already ready.
Okay, this one's you.
Okay, get ready to B.
Okay.
No, sir.
You guys can do B now.
Oh, B. one. Granting of the request of the variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the proposed use of the building as living space does not conflict with the character of the neighborhood. Am I doing the right one?
It's the same one, right?
The transmission.
It's the same.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm reading the
Same.
wrong one.
I think that's the one you were supposed to read for the house.
No, that was the garage one.
Thank you. Yeah, you read the wrong one, Chad. This one was for the house. I'm sorry.
No, he said read me the garage one first. All right.
All right.
One, this is variance request response for ADU conversion. Granting of the request variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the request variance would allow an existing in-law apartment to be used as an ADU, which is in line with the growing public interest in supporting multi-generational living and creating flexible housing options. The unit is already built, safe, and has functioned without any disturbance to the neighbors. Allowing the variance would not alter the character of the neighborhood or create any negative health, safety, or welfare impacts. The building footprint and appearance will remain unchanged. 2, the proposed use will observe the spirit of the ordinance because the proposed of the ADU ordinance is to increase housing opportunities in a safe and regulated manner. This in-law apartment already exists on the property and was designed for residential use. While it is slightly over 750 square feet, it fits the spirit of the ordinance by remaining subordinate to the main home, fitting with the lot, and having no adverse effects to the neighborhood. 3, substantial justice would be done to the property owner by granting the variance because denying the variance would create unnecessary hardship as a unit already exists and was intended to serve as housing for family members. Granting the variance would allow the homeowner to make reasonable use of their property in a way that causes no harm to the public or the neighboring properties. Additionally, the unit would provide housing for the application's son, who is legally blind, making it a critical accommodation for a family member with a disability. Granting the variance supports safe, independent living in close proximity to family assistance if needed. 4, the proposed use will not diminish the value of surrounding properties because the in-law apartment has been part of the property without any reported issues or complaints. It is fully enclosed, consistent with the appearance of the home, and well-maintained. There is no evidence to suggest that granting the variance will impact surrounding property values. In fact, additional housing flexibility may increase neighborhood value over time. No, it's not. Just can't find 5. Sorry.
Don't be
I'm sure that this, maybe this page that fell out.
It's in there, it's just stuck. No, that's not it. I apologize. Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir. There we go. All right. Special conditions exist such as the literal enforcement of the ordinance results in unnecessary hardship because, A, explain why you believe to be true, keeping in mind that you must establish that, 1, is because of the special conditions of the property in question, the restriction applied to the property by the ordinance does not serve the purpose of the restriction in a fair and reasonable way. And this property has always included an in-law apartment as part of the original construction. Due to the existing layout and the unit square footage, over 700 square feet, strict enforcement of the ADU ordinance would require substantial alterations of or a reducing in living space that would serve no purpose, no practical purpose. The space has long functioned as a self-contained living area and already meets all criteria for safe, independent, and accessible housing. The proposed ADU designation is for legally blind adult son who requires this type of accommodation to live independently. The existing structure already supports this need without any changes to the neighborhood or property footprint. Number 2, explain how the special conditions of the property cause the proposed use to be reasonable. The property's original design and current configuration already provide a fully functional separate living space. This makes it uniquely suited for an ADU designation without requiring expansion or modification. The intended use for a legally blind adult son supports both independence and proximity to family for support. Allowing the ADU designation is a reasonable and necessary accommodation that ensures safe, accessible, multi-generational housing in line with the town's goals. The use is consistent with the neighborhood and does not negatively impact surrounding properties. And can I add, so, as it says, that it's for legally blind son, like he said, they're not living separate anyways, because they're best friends, like they just, they eat together, they do everything together, so they only have one living room, so it's not really two separate units right now.
Right, and is, I guess, the fact that, is there a stove in the unit?
Yeah, yeah.
That's what makes it
That's
the
what's
separate.
making
it- Right.
So if the stove was gone, you wouldn't need a variance.
Right.
But, yeah,
We could take the stove out.
Well, that's what we're actually going to the point of you take the cabinets and everything out. We're at that point.
You're at that point.
What happens is the stove goes right back in when we leave.
or,
We want to tear the house apart, though?
Oh, we don't,
Really?
but that's what happens.
Yeah, right.
Like I
No,
said,
that's what they're doing
Right.
usually, but,
Selectmen do what?
So I'll just add, personally, and I understand the frustrations from staff because not everyone's forthcoming, but in my opinion, a second kitchen shouldn't create this problem. Just want to put that out there personally. But I understand where they're coming from because that's not the case always. But the legislation, again, addresses a size concern that will be getting updated. It actually increases or sets a larger maximum. But the other thing that I would consider, at least throw it out there, is, and Mr. Sullivan can correct me if I'm wrong, but this could almost meet the criteria of a reasonable accommodation.
Absolutely.
That's what yeah.
That's why I looked up the RSA.
And that's why, that's what we were already thinking. That's why we told them to put that in their
Okay.
application.
Okay.
So, yeah, we could give a variance or a reasonable accommodation where the,
It could be a variance, it's just, that's what they.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're good.
okay, you have anything further?
no.
Is there anybody in the audience that wish to speak in favor of this application? Seeing none. Is there anybody who wish to speak in opposition or neutrally? Seeing none. Before I declare it before the board, any members wish to ask questions, comments, or concerns?
Also, thank you.
Seeing none, I declare the matter before the board and ask for comments, questions, or motions. Mr. Lampier,
I make a motion to grant.
I have a motion to grant. Do I have a second?
I will second the motion to grant.
Seconded by Mr. McDonough. Mr. Lampier.
My decision on the granting of the above variance. Number one, I believe it will not change the neighborhood or the public health, safety, or the welfare of the public rights. Number two, the proposed use will observe the spirit of the ordinance. It will not conflict due to the ADU was built many years ago. No threat to public health, safety, or welfare to the public. And it will help the owner with him and his son. Number three, substantial justice would be done to the property owner. This unit ADU was existing and will not harm the public in any way. Number four, the proposed use will not diminish the values in the surrounding properties. I believe it will not diminish values. Number 5A, it's had a ADU for many years before the present owner moved in and has brought real estate exhibits to show and listed online with furnished basement prior to 2019 that we know of. We don't know how much earlier it was done than that. And the proposed use that they're asking for is definitely a reasonable one. So my decision was to grant.
Thank you.
Just real quick.
Yes.
This was in 1996 when it was code enforced, and the original owner had written a letter. It was part of the staff report. Basically said he brought it back to a single-family home.
Brought it back, but they brought it back in 2019. They brought it back as a, kind of like a single family, but
See,
yet a
that's
family
where-
room.
that's where-
That's where that gray area comes in.
That's where, as Selectman Dumont said, that's where things happen. The stove went back.
So it brought it back to forward. So with the new legislation that's going to be coming out in the future too, as well, is going to help them as well.
Changes the size to 950 square feet.
Yeah,
And this is still larger than that.
Not by much. What was it?
it's 11 something.
Oh, I thought it was 952.
No, I don't think
Sorry.
so. No, it's 15. Yeah, it's bigger than that.
I think that would be the
Oh,
section
that was
A.
the.
So we're
garage.
granting it
Apologize.
to go back to as a two-family. Correct. Yeah, that's what I granted.
Mr. McDonough?
To point number one, the public is not harmed, the property is visually in line, and this does not otherwise harm the neighborhood, public health, safety, or welfare. To number two, this observes the spirit of the ordinance. This this ADA is larger than the regulation requires, but otherwise it fits the general criteria and otherwise fits the neighborhood and general area. To number three, the property was purchased in this manner. It was a feature of the property that was desired due to his living situation and how his family was operating, and it would be an unnecessary hardship to force a change that he otherwise desired. To number four, as noted prior, this property was purchased because of this feature, and as such, increased the value of the property. So the surrounding values of the surrounding neighborhood houses were not harmed, and this property actually increased in value. To number five, it would be an unnecessary hardship on the homeowner to have to undo changes that they, unnecessary hardship to undo these changes that otherwise they were assumed were legal and reasonable. And the proposed use is a reasonable one. An ADU for his disabled child is a reasonable use and benefits not only him, but the community at large. And for that reason, I vote to grant.
Thank you. I too vote to grant. Granting the requested variance will not be contrary to the public interest or affect public rights. It will observe the spirit of the ordinance. Substantial justice will be done to the applicant. It's not to the property owner, and it's not outweighed by the harm to the general public. As we know that it will not diminish values of surrounding properties, and the hardship exists prior to this property owner purchasing the property, which was there, and not knowing or understanding or being told the hardship already existed prior to his purchase. And the proposed use is very reasonable. I vote to grant. The decision being 3-0, your variance B is granted. Again, there's a 30-day appeal period where an affected abutter can appeal. Other than that, the board says you're good. Mr. Sullivan knows you're good, and he'll guide you through the next steps.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, appreciate everything, guys, honest. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, since we're on the air and I'm on TV, we will, being no other cases before us, there's no rehearing requests, we'll review the minutes for April 24th. Okay, that's all I have in my hand.
Yep.
And I ask if there's anybody that has any corrections that they would like to announce. Mr. Lampier,
No corrections. I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, as presented, or as, let me see, has
didn't
anybody
see
sent in
anything.
edits?
Unless I missed one.
Nope. Okay, I have a motion to accept the minutes as presented. I'll second that motion. It's procedural. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. And I declare the minutes of April 24th, 2025 approved as presented. We'll wait a second. We'll have watch some paint dry when Mr. Sullivan gets back. Ask him
Oh, it
if
shows
he
two
has-
other minutes, but I didn't see them in here.
Yeah, we only have one set of minutes.
Yeah, just go with the one set of minutes.
That's what we did.
Okay, that's what we did.
They're approved.
Okay.
And then, do you have anything else to present to the board?
Oh, we have a new member, which he couldn't make it tonight. And so I guess he got back from Europe and then found out he had something to do tonight and forgot all about it. He said that's what jet lag does to you. So he said he'll make.
So we'll see him next month?
Yep.
Okay, any other business? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. I declare the Hudson Zoning Board meeting of 5/22/2025 adjourned at 19:46 or 7:46 PM.